I'm Vivien and I'm here in England, Gravesend. I hear you're in Mexico at the moment.
I'm in Mexico City right now. It's
so
11:30 in the morning for me.
Oh my gosh, it's 5:30 here for us. So that's really, really cool. And I hear you're a steel panist, is that right?
Yeah. So I've been playing steel pan for a while now, over 10 years, I think. Yeah. As well as running South London Samba. Yeah.
That's such a unique career. So tell us more what that kind of entails and what you do on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah, so I mean, with steel pans, I started playing in a school band. I started playing drum kit with a steel band. And then just here and there, there'll be a wedding gig and they'll be like, oh, can you play bass steel pan? Because no one's available. Then you start doing those. And then I got to a certain point where like enough people were just calling me for gigs that it was like, okay, I'm going to buy my own steel pan and start playing. Then I properly got into it. And that was about 10 years ago. And then, yeah, it's just like you're doing emails. People are like calling you up, looking for bookings. Yeah, you know, weddings, parties, everything. And yeah, you drive to the gig. You've got your uniform and everything. You play some music for people. It's pretty cool.
That's amazing. I heard that steel drums are like is it steel pans or steel drums? They're like very like unique instrument and they take loads of work to be made. I'm a music student, so I studied like how they make it, and oh my gosh, it's like such a unique kind of thing to do. So that's really amazing. This is kind of like a zoom back into the past question, but when you were young, did you always know that you wanted to do this for a living, or what did you study?
No, not steel pans. I think when I was like 12 or 13, I was playing a lot of drum kit and I was like, yeah, I want to be a drummer. Like, that's what I'm going to do. And then when I was like probably like 16, I was like, okay, I'm going to play piano, which I still play piano. But the bulk of the work steel pan. I mean, there's like, you know, there's only a few bands compared to the amount of people that want steel pan. So it's a very busy career. Yeah. So no, I did not know I was going to do this, but I'm still doing music, and so, you know, I'm still doing music. I knew I was going to do music, and like we're going to talk about SLS in a minute, but yeah, I'm still like full on doing drums a lot. It's just in a kind of different format. It's not like me playing a drum kit. It's me leading a band and stuff.
That's so cool. So you're like multiple musicians. You don't just play one. You're like a million trick pony, basically.
Yeah, I can't sit still. I have to do lots of different things.
Yeah, that's really good though. So tell us more about SLS then, because I guess it kind of leads on now. So
yeah, so I'm getting like a little bio here because when Jackie got me to like send something over, I was like, oh wow, actually there's a lot of stuff. I'll probably forget most of it off the top of my head.
There is a lot of stuff. I saw it too.
Yeah.
It's very amazing.
Yeah, so okay, so yeah, so in school when I was like 13 or like year 8, I think, we had like a Brazilian drumming group in school. And then I started playing that, learned how to play the snare in there, which like everyone thought was like the coolest one because it was fast. So like learned how to play the snare. And then I think in year 11 or sixth form, the teacher left and then no one was teaching it. And everyone was like, oh, Adam, why don't you just teach it? So then we like went into the room and we just used to do sessions, but then it kind of fizzled out. They like gave the room to a different group and stuff. And then that was that. So fast forward to like, you know, 2013, I was 19. And some friends were like, yeah, that like drumming thing in school was like wicked. Like, why don't we just do that? And I was like, okay, cool. Looked around, found some drums on eBay, like got some great drums for like, you know, 10 quid each from North London, 50 quid here, like did them up. And then we started practicing in Peckham Rye Park, which is where I'm from, Peckham. And yeah, we were just kind of playing. I didn't know how to get a gig or any of that kind of stuff. And then someone came up to us and was like, oh, can you play for our school fair or like preschool fair? And that was in Dulwich. So then we did that. Then a parent there got us for another gig. And then from there we got to go to another gig. And then it kind of just, hit off from there. It was like, okay, set up a website, get all your Instagram, get all of that kind of stuff. And then, yeah, it was formed. And I think for me, when it properly got going, I mean, the first gig was a turning point. But when people that I didn't know were like emailing and like, oh, how can we join your group? And then so you got people I've never met before joining it. That's when it was like, okay, this is a thing now.
That is so cool. So just from like school friends joining together, going from gig to gig to gig, you got so far. That's so amazing. And I think that's really inspirational as well for any other musicians that are going to be watching this, like young people. That's really cool. So obviously I saw your bio that you wrote out. You've done so much. You've been on ITV, Good Morning Britain, stuff like that. That's so cool. So my question is, how do you get nervous before you do stuff like that, or do you kind of just go with the flow, or how
Yeah, definitely you get nervous. I mean, less now. I think it's one of those things, you definitely get nervous when it's like your first one or you've not done many, or also sometimes with those shows, they'll spring something on you that like you've not prepared and you're like, oh my gosh, I don't want to mess up. So yeah, definitely you get nervous. And it's one of those things, I mean, I definitely think everyone gets nervous. So you just have to know that it's there, just try your best, just try your best not to bottle it and just like push through. And then eventually you'll get used to it. Your emotions will catch up and they'll be like, oh, okay, you asked, like things are all right, things went well. The next one will be easier, and
Yeah, because we also do performing here at GYG, and I feel like all performers can relate to that. Like it can get really stressful. But yeah, just kind of like just facing up to it. Is that how you say it? Like facing it first.
Your emotions catch up to stuff. So
Yeah.
like a lot of time when you're pushing yourself out of your box, you have like quite intense emotions.
Yeah.
But as you do it, they catch up, and then something that you thought was so impossible, now just doing it is fine.
Yeah. So you don't really realize, but you're doing it. That's really, really good. In your career, what has been like your biggest achievement that you believe, or like the biggest moment that you feel you always like remember?
Oh my gosh, that is a hard question. Oh no, I don't know if I can say. I think, I mean, there's been some like quite high profile gigs. Like we played with the Black Eyed Peas. We played for the Cricket World Cup opening ceremony, and we actually wrote the drums for the soundtrack as well. I mean, I didn't do the recent one, but the band got booked, and some of the other guys headlined with Disclosure. Those are all quite big. For me, though, what I feel most proud of, and like what's biggest for me, I think was starting our youth group actually, because like we started in 2013, 2015, we opened adult classes and stuff, but it wasn't until 2019, like a while later, that we opened youth classes, and it's been so good, like seeing our young people just grow up and get better at what they're doing, and seeing them have different opportunities. I think, yeah, for me, opening youth classes, which I didn't ever really want to teach. I just wanted to just get out there and play. And then we just got so much like interest for adult classes. So it's like, okay, we're going to have to do adult classes. But then we just had a few people asking about youth classes, and eventually it just got, when you've got like 20 people on a waiting list, you've got to do it,
Yeah, 100%. I feel like young people are so eager to learn about this stuff. And as a young person's perspective, I definitely agree with like that love for music. Just if you grow up with it, and I'm sure as well, because you said you always love music, it's like such a huge part of your life. So that's really, really amazing.
Well, and a big part of it was that I was still a young person for most of that time. I was 19.
Yeah.
And like, I mean, when you're 19, 20, so you still feel young, like you still kind of feel like how you felt in school. I guess now I'm not young. I'm 28. I'm like not a young person. I'm a young adult. Maybe you could call me, or an adult.
Yeah, we
So
have
that's when it
young
starts
adults
youth
here as
plus.
well. It's yeah, but I feel like because you started so young, you kind of always feel that kind of feeling that you felt when you were young, isn't it? Yeah. And I hope that a lot of us here and a lot of other young musicians will feel the same as you. I've lost all my questions, so that's great.
No problem.
Where have we got to? Oh, we've gone straight off the questions. But so yeah, so for obviously what you do, it's kind of like a creative field. So were there any specific qualifications you needed? Obviously you said you didn't, you said you just kind of got into it, so I'm not sure if there was any qualifications that came with it. But
no, so there's a lot of music that doesn't require any qualifications at all. It's more the qualifications are, can you do the thing that you're saying you're going to do? Yeah. So there's no use like having a degree but you can't play, for example. Although if you wanted to go into like professional teaching, then you need those kind of qualifications. So yeah, for me, I don't think anything I've done like basically even required a GCSE, to be honest. But you still have to be on point, you know.
Yeah.
And like a lot of it's like you know, a learning journey. But no, yeah. Now that you mentioned that, yeah, no.
But to be honest, I feel like for creative things, like it still makes so much of an impact without having that kind of like academic qualification behind it, because you still need all of that skill and all of that, you know, you don't need it on paper necessarily. But yeah,
you have to personally study it.
Yeah, you need to be there all the time. You need to prove yourself all the time. You can't just, yeah. And you said that you kind of got those gigs booked from in the beginning, obviously, when you just went to like a school fair, was it? So kind of, could you explain what that process entails? So would you like give your contact information out, or would it be the people that are watching you, or how would it start spreading around? How did SLS kind of start spreading around everywhere?
Yeah, so we did some rehearsals before we kind of came up with the name, and then we got a website, which isn't too hard to create. But I think nowadays the absolute easiest thing is just having, you don't even need a website. You can just have an Instagram. That is a website in a sense.
Yeah.
You can put your phone number there. People can book you through it and stuff. You can have an email link to it. So Instagram's definitely a great one nowadays. But in terms of us, yeah, they just need a way to contact you. I don't even think we have business cards at the beginning. So someone will just come up and be like, oh, we want to book you. And you're like, okay, here's my number or here's my email. And then at the beginning, I'm just trying to, I think they gave us like 40 quid for the school fair, which is good, because then even after that, there's still, you do a free gig here, you do a free gig there to like get people to know about you. And then at a certain, we just kept like, just slowly kept raising the prices as like time went on. So it'd be like, yeah, 50 quid for a gig, which is now, it's insanely cheap for me to think like a band went out and played for half an hour and that was 50 quid. But for us, it was like our third gig or something. So yeah, you just kind of build it up from there. And the key thing is starting. So it's like, it's better to have something that's like needs improvement than to just like procrastinate it. It's better to have an Instagram that's like, oh, the photos are all right, you know.
Yeah.
You know, we'll do a website later. The uniform's okay. Like you can just add to those things later, and no one's gonna mind, you know.
Yeah, because the people that book you at that point already like what you've created. So that's very true. Were there any
constant improvement?
Yeah. Were there any like challenges, like not major challenges or even major, I don't know, any challenges in your career that you kind of had to face, and how did you face them?
There's just loads of little ones. I don't know if there was like a major challenge. I mean, there was a funny, stressful one. There was one where we were on the way to a gig, luckily it was a festival. They were kind of chilled, but then our van broke down like halfway on the motorway. That kind of ruined like 8 hours of the day, which actually is pretty good in comparison. It could have ruined the whole thing. Yeah. That was annoying. We just had to like twiddle our thumbs, wait for the repair guys to come and all that. Yeah, no, I don't know. When you're driving on the motorway, that's always stressful, But no, it's just little things. Little things like, okay, yeah, I need to, create a website, or I need to put out an ad to get new people to join, or in terms of probably one of the hardest ones was applying for an Arts Council grant. For me personally, because I'm not super duper wordy on like, writing essays and all that kind of stuff. And I didn't go to uni, so I didn't learn a lot of those skills. So applying for that was really tough. We just did another one this year, but that was a lot easier. Like I kind of knew the stuff. It was for a smaller amount. It wasn't as long. In terms of a big hurdle, applying for a Arts Council grant, definitely.
Yeah, I feel like, especially because of that kind of like I feel that as well now, because like when you just come out of like secondary education and you have to like start applying for everything, it's kind of the same feeling where you feel lost, and it's kind of like, what should I say, or how do people want me to present myself? And that's very, very true. Do you have any advice with that for us young people who may be struggling?
Yeah, I mean, the main advice is to find mentors, find people that, they don't have to be like a crazy big man, just someone you're just like, oh, how do you do this? Someone, who does have a good, whatever the thing is that you want, they've got that, and you just ask. Because like most people are really happy to share if you're coming to them genuinely and asking. So I just think not enough people ask for stuff. If you ask, the worst that will happen is they'll say no and you're back to square one. So just like keep going, keep asking, that's what I say. Yeah.
And you're a part of a group, so does that kind of reassure you? Like, how does it feel to be like a part of this big, can I call it a family? This big family. What is it like? Do you have like a dynamic or between you?
Yeah, it's I mean, how do you describe it? Yeah, it's a family. It's so cool. Just you're just surrounded by friends doing what you love. A lot of not to look on it negatively, just to reflect, a lot of like professional musician gigs, you're playing with people that maybe you don't really like too much, but you got to do the gig. That happens a lot. Yeah. But for us, because it's a community thing, it's like everyone likes each other, everyone's having a good time. As the group's expanded, we haven't ever expanded too fast. So maybe it was 10 people at the beginning, then another person joins, they're there for a few months, we all kind of become good friends, and it kind of goes like that. So yeah, you've got like the OG people that were here from the very beginning, you've got the newer people, and everyone's mingling. And then now we've got our youth groups. We've got like 45 young people. So then they're like all becoming friends with each other. So it's a really good feeling, yeah.
And I'm sure the energy is definitely like given off to the audience as well. So yeah, my last question is kind of a long one, but obviously for young people that are watching this, or for your young people group, what kind of advice would you give to them if they want to kind of follow the same career path and be as successful as you and your group?
There's so much advice. Okay, I think actually like quite an important one that no one really tells you is if you want to do music, there's a lot of musicians, okay, that are kind of broke or don't have much money, and it's really tough, because then if you're renting and then you're getting older and the rent's going up and you're having to do more and more work just to cover your bases, it's tough. So like one of the most important things I think would be to kind of, either do lots of different things within music or have some kind of small kind of side hustle thing that you're like, okay, this can also help me. Whether it's like long-term plans to own your own house, or you know, just anything at the side, but like just to take the edge off, because when you're having to just struggle for money and hustle, it can definitely you know, it can taint the whole beautiful process of music, you know. But it doesn't have to, especially when you're young. Like, you can have a 5-year, 10-year plan and it's fine. Then you'll be like, whatever, 25 or 30, and then you'll be fine, you know. So it's just kind of keeping that in mind. That's super important.
Staying grounded.
Yeah, just being like, okay, I want to do this as a living. Like, let's be real, what does this entail? But then, I mean, I know musicians that they do a lot of recording and studio works, and then they've got royalties coming in. It could be that, you know, it doesn't have to be not music, but just something to think about. And then, yeah, in terms of advice, I think, you know, you know, if it's music, keep practicing, you know, practice every day, like make that a habit, like brushing your teeth, even if it's just half an hour every morning. Like, you'd be surprised how far you can get with that. And then just always try your best, like whatever the thing is, whether it's like, oh, I'm trying to write an email, rewrite it a few times, you know, like sound good, you know. Just keep improving. That's, you know, because it doesn't matter where you start. If you just keep improving, you'll be flying.
Thank you. That's amazing advice. And I'm sure this is gonna be a video to all the people that are going to be watching on our Instagram, and I'm sure that you have inspired a lot of young musicians that are watching this. So thank you so much for talking to me, and hopefully I will see you soon, or we'll speak later or in the future sometime.
Thanks so much, Vivien. It was really great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
See you later. Bye.
Bye-bye.